You ever catch yourself mid-thought and realize, oh no, I've done it again? That was me about 10 minutes ago, standing 3 feet from our Christmas tree, holding a tangled string of lights like it was a rare archaeological find. I wasn't panicking. No, I was simply assessing my life choices, especially the 5 Christmas tree mistakes I managed to recreate every single year with the consistency of a holiday tradition no one asked for. Linda had already stepped back with her mug of cocoa, silently preparing herself. Daisy sat beside her like a tiny furry referee, ready to judge the proceedings. And I thought, well, maybe this time, this year, I'll finally get it right. Spoiler. We both know I will not. But that's why you're here. Because chaos shared is chaos softened, especially when it twinkles. So settle in. Take a breath. Get cozy under a blanket or improvise with whatever fabric is closest. I'm grateful you've joined me at the exact moment before things start tipping from festive into Henry Y. Stay close. The merry misadventures are about to begin. You know, every December I tell myself, Henry, this is the year you choose a sensible tree, a reasonable tree, a tree that respects boundaries. And every December, I march into the tree lot like a man who has forgotten every lesson life has ever tried to teach him. I don't mean to do it, truly. I wake up with perfectly normal intentions. I even rehearse my speech in the car. Just a small one this year, something modest, something that won't scrape the ceiling or test the structural integrity of the roof. But then I step onto that lot. I inhale that pine-scented air, Mother Nature's cologne, and suddenly the holiday spirit grabs my brain like, buddy, you deserve something majestic. And that is where the trouble always begins. Linda knows this pattern so well, she doesn't even try to stop it anymore. She just walks beside me with her warm scarf, sipping her peppermint mocha, and giving me that gentle smile that says, I love you, but I will be narrating this to our friends later. Daisy trots along too, nose in full investigation mode, absolutely convinced she has been hired as the official tree lot quality inspector. She sniffs every stump like she's considering a promotion. And then I see it. The tree. The one that calls to me across the lot like it's starring in its own holiday commercial. It's always impossibly tall, dramatically full, sparkling in a way that suggests it has been rehearsing for this moment. It's also, without fail, the wrong tree for our home. This one, I tell the tree lot guy every year, with the same confidence a person has right before making a very poor decision. I'll take this one. The guy always pauses. He looks at the tree. He looks at me. He looks at the tree again. And then he says, Sir, do you have a house? Which is fair, because this year's tree, mistake number 1, was so tall it was basically a vertical forest. If it had been any larger, I would have needed to apply for a permit. But do I take the hint? Of course not. I just grin and say, don't worry, I have a plan. I do not have a plan. Transporting the tree is its own side quest. The tree lot guy and I hoist it onto the roof of the car, and my car sags so dramatically I hear it whisper, Henry, please. Daisy presses her face against the back window, watching the whole ordeal with the judgment of a grandmother who has seen too much. Linda stands by the passenger door murmuring, we could still pick the smaller one, the nice, normal one, the one that doesn't look like it's preparing to audition for a national park. But I'm in that holiday haze, the kind where optimism replaces logic, and I say, it'll be perfect. You ever say words and immediately know you'll regret them later? That was one of those moments. We tie it down, though tie might be generous. It was more like the ropes were gently suggesting the tree consider staying on top of the car during the drive home. But it mostly behaved, unless you count the part where it shifted left, then right, then left again, causing my car to lean like we were taking scenic detours we didn't plan. When we finally make it home, I take one look at the front door and think, the tree seems larger in transit. Linda, trying to stay supportive, asks, "Do you maybe want to measure it before we attempt entry?" Measure, as if I'm some kind of mature adult who uses tools and makes rational decisions. No. I fall back on my traditional method, eyeballing and optimism. We angle it, tilt it, rotate it, pivot in ways that would impress a synchronized swimming team. And the tree, well, the tree simply refuses. It's not that it won't go in the door. It's that it won't go in the door with dignity. Halfway through attempt number 3, the tree is basically performing a limbo competition against the door frame. Pine needles are flying like festive confetti. Daisy sneezes dramatically every 5 seconds as if offering live commentary. Finally, after a series of maneuvers that could be classified as a workout video, we get the tree inside. And that's when I realize something important. Inside the house, the tree is bigger, much bigger. It doesn't just reach the ceiling. It introduces itself to the ceiling. It leans in. It becomes roommates with the ceiling. I'm pretty sure I hear it whisper, "Hello up there." Linda stands at the far end of the room, hand over her mouth, trying very hard not to laugh. "Henry," she says gently, "are we decorating a tree or hosting a redwood?" But I'm committed now. I'm deep in it. The tree and I have bonded through shared struggle and questionable decisions. "It's fine," I insist. "It just needs a trim." "From the top?" she asks. "Well, yes." "And how do you propose to reach the top?" I look up at the tree's towering peak like it's waving at me from the next county. "With determination." She sighs the sigh of someone who has been married to me long enough to know the phases of Henry Holiday optimism. This is phase 3. Denial wrapped in tinsel. We eventually get the tree into some configuration that resembles upright. The trunk sits in the stand. The top brushes the ceiling in a way that suggests it's testing for weak points. The branches expand outward like it's trying to hug the entire room. Daisy circles it, squinting like she suspects the tree may be planning something. And then comes the moment every year when Linda asks the same calm, loving question. "Sweetheart, why do you always choose a tree that is obviously too big?" And every year I give the same honest answer. Because it looks smaller outside. It's the tree illusion, the open sky, the vastness, the perspective trickery. Out there, everything seems reasonable. Inside, everything seems like a hazard. But here's the thing. Even with sap in my hair, pine needles in my socks, and one arm vaguely scratched in a pattern that resembles a treasure map, there's a little magic to it. A funny kind. The kind that makes the house smell like winter and adventure. The kind that makes Linda hide a smile behind her cocoa mug. The kind that makes Daisy eventually curl under the lowest branches like a woodland creature with opinions. Plus, I wouldn't have these stories if I ever got the size right. Still, as I step back to admire it, the tree gives a tiny wobble. Just a whisper of a lean, like it's warming up for mistake number 4 a few days early. Linda notices too. "Henry," she says quietly, "should it be moving?" "It's not moving," I say. The tree moves again. "It's settling," I clarify. It settles in a way that makes me instinctively step back. Linda raises an eyebrow. "Should we brace it?" "Nonsense," I say, just as a small puff of pine needles drifts to the carpet. It's perfectly stable. It is perhaps the least stable object in the house, and that includes the wobbly chair we keep for sentimental reasons. But despite everything, the transporting, the door frame battle, the ceiling negotiations, I feel good. Proud even. Because yes, it may be enormous, and yes, it may be a tempting gentle rebellion, but it is here. Our tree. Our annual tradition of festive miscalculation. And as I plug in the lights, well, attempt to, I can't help but smile at the absurdity of it all. A tree too big for the house? Classic Henry, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Just as I step back to admire the tree, something shifts. Some tiny sound from deep within the branches. Daisy's ears perk, Linda freezes, and I realize mistake number 2 is waiting for me, and it's tangled. The sound from inside the branches was not, as I briefly hoped, the tree peacefully settling into its new life. No, it was the sound of a box, my box, of Christmas lights shifting under the weight of destiny, chaos, and questionable off-season storage decisions. "Henry," Linda says carefully, the way one speaks to someone who has just stepped onto a patch of ice. "Did you put the lights away properly last year?" Now, listen. Define properly. If we're using the dictionary definition, neatly, intentionally, in a manner that won't cause future suffering, then no. But if we're using my definition, in a box, technically, then absolutely yes. I straighten my shoulders. Of course I did. They're completely fine. At that exact moment, one rogue strand slithers out of the box like it has escaped from a fantasy novel. Daisy stares at it, wide-eyed, as if waiting for it to introduce itself. Linda just sips her cocoa. "I'll let you handle this." The box of lights, and I mean this sincerely, is my annual reminder that humanity has not yet achieved full enlightenment. Because every December, I open that box expecting to find neatly looped strands in a pleasant coil. And every December, I find what can best be described as a shimmering, colorful tumbleweed. This year's tumbleweed is especially ambitious. I reach into the box, it resists. That's never a good sign. You know how magicians pull an endless scarf from their sleeve? Imagine that, except the magician is confused and the scarf is mad at him. That's what it feels like unearthing the first light strand. I tug. It tugs back. We negotiate. Finally, a strand emerges. Knotted, twisted, tangled around itself with such enthusiasm that I have to assume it did this on purpose during the summer. Linda watches from a safe distance. "Did you wind them around the cardboard like I suggested?" "I meant to," I say. "Did you do it before putting them away?" "I put them away." She nods slowly. "Ah, so that's a no." At this point, Daisy decides she is emotionally invested in the process. She sits beside me with great dignity, clearly prepared to assist in the decoding of this electric spaghetti. "Thank you, Daisy," I say. "We'll be a team." She gently places a paw on the light strand, and I swear she gives me a look that translates to, "Sir, these lights are a disaster." I take a deep breath. "Okay," I announce, as if preparing a scientific experiment. "All we have to do is find one end." This is when Linda quietly cough laughs into her mug. I begin untangling, moving slowly, methodically, with the kind of patience I normally do not possess but must now summon like an ancient spell. Left loop, right loop, twist, rotate, whisper a hopeful plea to the universe, and somehow, miraculously, I do find an end. "Well," I say triumphantly, "there it is. That wasn't so bad." Linda says nothing, because she sees what I do not yet see. As I pull the strand out, confident in my abilities and my bright holiday future, I notice the following. The strand loops through another strand, which loops through a third, which is fused, perhaps spiritually, to an extension cord. And all of them appear to be hugging a small plastic wreath ornament I forgot existed. The lights have unionized. "No," I whisper. "No, no, no." Linda pats my shoulder. "You tried. I'm not ready for consolation. Not yet." "It's fine. I'll sort it out. Would you like help?" "No, thank you. I can do this. I'm a man of light-based resilience." She raises an eyebrow. "Okay, Gandalf." I sit cross-legged on the living room floor, surrounded by loops and knots, looking like a fisherman who has grossly misunderstood his nets. Every time I free one loop, 3 more appear. Every time I pull gently, a knot tightens elsewhere. Every time I think I'm making progress, the lights shift and reveal a hidden, secret knot, the kind that has existed since the 1990s. I reach a point, around minute 12, where I'm holding the strand up and rotating it like an archaeologist examining an ancient artifact. Linda sits on the couch, amused. "You know, we could just buy new lights." "We will not," I declare. "We are not quitters." "Our last name is not Rockefeller," she replies. "Lights are $10. It's about principle. No, it's about the fact that those have somehow tied themselves around your elbow." I look down. She is right, but I keep going. Eventually, after wrestling, coaxing, unraveling, apologizing to the lights for things I don't fully recall, one strand emerges fully free. I lift it triumphantly above my head. "Yes!" I shout. "Victory!" The strand immediately blinks, then half of it turns off. I stare at it. It stares back. Linda does her best not to laugh. "You did test them before untangling, right?" There's a silence so telling, so loud, that Daisy actually looks away in embarrassment for me. "I may have forgotten." Linda puts a hand over her mouth. "Henry." I sit there with my broken strand, my pride dimming as dramatically as the lights themselves. And yet, I refuse to accept defeat. "It's just one section. Maybe it'll fix itself when I plug it in again." This is not how electronics work, but hope is free. I plug it in. Nothing changes, except maybe the smell of warm plastic, which cannot possibly be a good sign. On to strand number 2. Surely this one will fare better. I locate it inside the box, wedged aggressively under a bundle that seems to have fused into a figure-8 knot. I tug. It resists. Daisy tilts her head in sympathy. When I finally extract it, the strand unfurls with all the grace of a slinky falling down a staircase. But at least nothing is broken, yet. I plug it in. It lights up, every bulb shining proudly except one in the middle that flickers like it's sending Morse code. It's fine, I say. That's practically festive. Linda wipes a tear from her eye. Festive anxiety, maybe. But I don't have time for flickering details. I have a goal. I must decorate this tree, my enormous, ceremonially defiant tree, even if I have to physically climb it like a mountaineer. I carry the strand over, careful not to step on any rogue extension cords. Daisy follows, supervising. She has become the foreman of this operation. I begin wrapping the lights around the lower branches. 1 loop, 2 loops, 3 loops. The tree shifts. Not a big shift. Not yet. Just enough to whisper, "I am watching you." "Did it move?" I ask. Linda looks over. "A little." "It's fine. Nothing about this is fine." The wrapping process always starts hopeful. I loop the lights gently around the branches, trying to achieve that cozy, magazine-ready glow. But then I realize, as I do every year, that I misjudged the strand length. Too much on the left side, not enough on the right. Suddenly I'm backtracking, unwinding, rewrapping, trying to maintain my dignity while the tree needles poke me like disapproving fingers. At one point I step back to examine my progress and accidentally tug the strand too hard. Half the lights go dark. "Oh no," I whisper. "Oh yes," says Linda. I jiggle the plug. The lights flicker back to life. Daisy sighs, an actual, audible sigh, as if relieved that her owner is still in the realm of the living. And then comes the moment that defines mistake number 2 every year. I need to get the lights higher, not all the way to the top, that's a mistake 5 problem, but at least to the midsection. This requires bravery, technique, possibly a small prayer. I stand on my tiptoes. The tree creaks. I stretch. The tree leans. "Henry," Linda warns, "be careful." Careful is my middle name. It is definitely not. Debatable. I reach higher. The tree leans further, and then, with the tiniest, softest sound, the entire strand slips from my hand, unwinds itself down the branches like a glowing waterfall, and lands in a tangled pile at my feet. I close my eyes. "Do you want to take a break?" Linda asks. "No," I say, defeated but determined. "I want to finish before the tree gains full sentience." By the time I successfully wrap the lights, 3 strands, 1 flickering, 1 suspiciously warm, the tree glows in that special Henry way. Uneven, slightly chaotic, and absolutely full of love. Daisy curls beneath it, satisfied. Linda gives me a hug from behind. "You did it," she says softly. "I did," I reply, against all odds. Then I hear it. A soft pop, followed by darkness. Half the tree goes out. I look up slowly. The tree seems to smile at me, not kindly. Linda whispers, "Oh no." I whisper, "Not again." And thus, the great light catastrophe concludes, as it always does, with a cliffhanger glow that flickers out at the worst possible moment. Because next up, mistake number 3, ornament overconfidence syndrome, which is, an entirely different level of festive disaster. There's a very specific silence that fills the room after half the Christmas tree lights go out. It's the silence of resignation, the silence of a man who has wrestled something electrical and lost. The silence of Linda quietly sipping cocoa so she doesn't say, "I told you so," out loud. But I'm undeterred, because even if the tree is only half lit, half sparkling like a winter wonderland and half looking like it's on a power-saving mode, I know what comes next. Ornaments. The moment where artistry meets chaos, and Henry makes the same mistake every single year. I believe, deeply, irrationally, that I know where everything is. "Do you want the ornament bin?" Linda asks kindly. "Oh, I know where everything is," I say, opening the hallway closet with the confidence of a man about to be proven drastically wrong. The closet responds by releasing a single jingling sound, followed by a rain of miscellaneous holiday objects. A garland, 3 hooks, a stocking from 2007, a glittery snowflake the size of a dinner plate, and something shaped suspiciously like a reindeer's foot. "Found it," I announce, stepping over the debris. Linda peers in. "Are you sure that was supposed to fall out?" "It's the closet's emotional process," I say. "Let it express itself." The ornament bin emerges from the closet like a relic from an archaeological dig. It's red, it's lumpy, it's slightly dusty, and it rattles in a way that suggests the contents are either festive or sentient. Daisy sniffs it and immediately backs up 2 steps. This is never a good sign. I plop the bin in the middle of the living room. "Prepare yourselves," I declare, "for the wonders within." Linda leans over the back of the couch. I'm mentally prepared for glitter. "Oh, there will be glitter," I confirm. "There is always glitter." I open the bin. It erupts. Not literally, but the lid lifts and a cloud of glitter puffs out like a sparkly sneeze. Somewhere deep inside the bin, a jingle bell jingles itself, unprovoked. I begin sorting. "Well," I say proudly, pulling out the first ornament, "look at this beauty." It is sticky. Very sticky. Very questionably sticky. Linda winces. "Why does it look adhesive?" "It's a mystery," I say, holding it with 2 fingertips like a biohazard. "A holiday mystery." Daisy refuses to sniff it, which tells me everything I need to know. We set the sticky ornament aside for later, which means never, but politely. Ornament overconfidence mistake. Number 1. I always think we have fewer ornaments than we actually do. The bin feels bottomless. Every time I reach in, the ornaments multiply. There are bells that jingle, bells that no longer jingle, bells that jingle in a way that implies emotional fatigue. There's an angel missing a wing, a felt snowman with what I assume was once a smile, but now looks more like a grimace, a tiny knit sweater ornament that I absolutely do not remember buying. And of course, the glass ones. The family heirloom ornaments that Linda handles like museum pieces. The ones I tell myself I will definitely be careful with. The ones I inevitably drop, nudge, bump, or accidentally send rolling across the carpet every year. Linda points to them. Do not start with those. I would never, I say. I immediately start with those. Ornament overconfidence mistake. Number 2. I assume I know how many hooks we have. I pick up a delicate glass ball. Beautiful, shimmery, perfect. I reach for a hook. There is one hook. Just one. How? We buy a pack of 200 every single year. Where do they go? Is there a secret underground world run by ornament hooks? Are they forming a colony behind the dryer? I improvise. Improvising, historically, is where everything goes wrong. I attempt a loop with a ribbon. The ribbon slips. I try a twist tie from last year's cookie bags. It holds for 3 seconds, then gives up on life. I try balancing the ornament on a branch, just for now. It rolls off gently, like it's making a peaceful exit. Linda catches it mid-air, ninja style. "Henry," she says softly, "stop improvising." "I wasn't improvising," I lie. She stares. "Maybe a little," I concede. Eventually, with a combination of scavenged hooks, paper clips, and sheer willpower, we begin decorating the tree. Linda places ornaments with calm precision, creating a balanced, symmetrical distribution. I place ornaments with the energy of a man decorating during a mild earthquake. "Maybe not all on one branch," she suggests softly. "This is my artistic vision," I reply. "It's crooked. It's whimsical." The branch gives a small sigh under the weight of 3 ornaments and a felt owl. Then comes the lost box. There is always one. The box that disappears every year, only to return at the worst possible moment. This year, it contains the wooden reindeer Linda's aunt made, the glitter pine cone I made in the 3rd grade, which somehow still sheds glitter like a sneezy fairy, and the highly questionable ornament shaped like a pickle. "Ah," Linda says, "the pickle. What is the origin story of the pickle?" I ask for the 10th year in a row. No one knows. We hang it anyway. At this point, the tree looks lively. Chaotic, yes, but lively. Lower branches, decorated. Middle branches, decorated. Higher branches, unreachable without mountaineering equipment. "Henry," Linda says, "do you want the step stool?" "I can reach," I say. "I cannot." I stretch. The ornament dangles just out of reach. I stretch further. The tree leans in warning. "Henry," Linda repeats, "the stool." "I've got it," I insist, placing my hand on the tree for balance. The tree shifts. Daisy darts backward. Linda puts down her cocoa. "Henry," I freeze, slowly, very slowly. The tree rights itself. I exhale. "See? Perfectly." The ornament slips from my hand, bounces off a branch, ricochets off another, and lands in Daisy's bed with a soft tink. Daisy looks at me like she's deciding if I can be trusted with anything ever again. Ornament overconfidence mistake. 3. I always think we're done. We are never done. Just as I'm about to step back and admire our handiwork, I see it. The box. A second ornament bin I forgot existed. "Why?" Linda whispers. "Are there 2? "It's part of the charm," I say. "I feel like we should have noticed this before." I don't check labels. I follow my heart. My heart, apparently, leads me to accidental ornament overstock. Inside this forgotten bin are ornaments from the experimental years, the years we tried themes. There's the rustic woodland year, the blue and silver year, the all-candy ornament year, which Daisy remembers vividly, and one lone ornament shaped like a small, slightly judgmental Santa head. We can't use all of these, Linda says. We must, I say. Why? Because it's tradition. This is not true, but I say it with confidence. We hang everything. The tree transforms from a modestly decorated display to a festive explosion of styles, colors, eras, and questionable decisions. It sparkles, it shimmers, it leans just a little. It looks like a scrapbook that swallowed Christmas, and honestly, perfect. I step back, hands on hips, breathless from effort, glowing with pride. See, I say, not a single ornament catastrophe this year. A beat, a creak, and then a single glass ornament slides off a branch, plummets toward the floor, and thunk! It lands in Linda's slipper, perfectly, not broken, just resting inside like it paid rent. Linda blinks. I blink. Daisy stares. I point at it. That was precision. Linda bursts out laughing, the kind of laugh that fills a room with warm air and relief, and that's when I spot it. The tree, leaning, not a big lean, just enough to whisper, "Henry, we need to talk about the stand." And that, of course, leads us to mistake number 4, the tilt that won't quit. The tree's lean isn't dramatic at first. It's subtle. A gentle tip, a quiet opinion. The botanical equivalent of clearing its throat and whispering, "Henry, gravity has concerns." Linda notices immediately. Her eyes narrow. It's leaning. No, it's not, I say, instinctively entering denial mode. It's leaning, she repeats, pointing. I follow her finger. The tree is indeed leaning, in a determined, purposeful way, as though attempting to discuss something important with the lamp. I crouch down at the base, examining the stand. Now, I'd like to say I set up the tree stand with precision earlier, but the truth is, when we put this forest-sized giant into place during part 1, the stand installation was more enthusiastic optimism than engineering. The screws are slightly uneven, the trunk is slightly slanted, and the stand itself appears to be whispering, "I wasn't built for this." Linda kneels beside me. "Should we tighten something?" "Absolutely," I say, wiggling one screw with the confidence of a man who doesn't remember which direction tightens anything. The tree shifts again. Daisy gasps. A little dog gasp. Sharp, judgmental, heartfelt. "Okay," I say, tightening a second screw. "There, stable." It leans further. "Henry," Linda whispers, "it's going to fall." "It's not going to fall." The tree gives a large, slow groan like an old pirate ship. "Okay," I admit. "It might fall." Mistake 4. The tilt that won't quit. Fixing a leaning tree is a delicate art that I do not possess. There are people in the world who understand balance, tension, and structural support. I am not one of them. I am the man who once installed a shelf that fell off the wall during a mild conversation, so Linda holds the tree steady while I adjust the stand. "Left," she says. I tighten the right screw. "Other left," she adds. "I knew that," I lie. The tree tilts. Linda tilts with it in self-defense, like she is trying to prevent a slow-motion disaster. Daisy watches intensely, ready, should the tree collapse, to sprint into the kitchen and report the crime. After several adjustments, a lot of grunting, and one moment where I nearly headbutt a branch, the tree straightens. I rise triumphantly. "See? Perfectly fine." It leans the other direction. Linda places a hand on my arm. "Sweetheart, I think the tree is winning. The cruel part is, it is winning. The tree has opinions, ambitions, a life philosophy. Maybe we wedge something under the stand, she suggests gently. We can't wedge something under the stand, I say with authority. We absolutely wedge something under the stand. It's a folded magazine, a very old one, possibly from an era when people still said surfing the web, but surprisingly, it works. The tree stands tall, centered, balanced, majestic even. Linda and I step back, arms crossed, admiring our miracle for 3 seconds. Then the tree leans forward, just a hair, like it's bowing politely before attempting whatever disaster it has planned next. Good enough, I declare. Linda sighs with resigned affection. Henry logic. And now we arrive at the final challenge. The one I dread yet reenact every year. The ultimate holiday showdown between me and the laws of physics. Mistake number 5. The overly ambitious tree topper moment. The tree topper is not particularly heavy. It is not dangerous. It is not theatrically large. It is, in fact, a very gentle star Linda picked out years ago. The danger comes from me attempting to place it. You'd think I'd use the step stool. You'd think I'd learn. You'd think I'd value my safety and the structural stability of our home. But no. Every year I stand beneath the tree, stare up at the top, now brushing the ceiling like it's trying to file a complaint, and say, I can reach. Get the stool, Linda says without looking up from her cocoa. I won't need it. You do need it. I might not. You always need it. But the problem is confidence. Overconfidence. The kind that has no basis in reality. I stretch my arm upward. The star wobbles in my hand. The tree leans slightly toward me, possibly daring me to continue. Henry, Linda warns, I've almost got it. You have not almost got it. I tiptoe. The tree tilts. My arm shakes. Daisy, now familiar with the escalation of events, retreats to her safety blanket behind the couch. I'm just gonna tap it on, I mutter, because tap it on is the official Henry method of tree topper placement. I reach higher. The tree leans further. My foot slips half an inch on the carpet. Linda gasps. I flail, not dramatically, but in a dignified adult flail, and grab the tree to steady myself. The tree, offended, leans left. I lean right. The star hits the ceiling with a small donk. Everything freezes. Me, Linda, Daisy, the house, the universe. I slowly lower the topper, look at Linda, and say, stool, please. She hands it to me without a word. With the stool, things go far more smoothly. I climb up, place the star gently. It sits a little crooked, but endearingly so, like it's smiling sideways. I climb down, brushing pine needles off my sweater. How did they get inside my sweater? Then Linda and I step back together. We look at the tree. The lights, mostly, glowing. The ornaments shimmering in chaotic harmony. The star at the top, proud in its slightly tilted glory. The entire tree leaning, politely, but at least not lunging. Daisy returns to her post underneath the lower branches, proud of her supervisory contributions. And suddenly, the whole room feels warm. Not from the lights, not from the cocoa, not even from our questionable construction techniques, but from the simple, familiar, cozy chaos we somehow create every year. Linda nudges me gently. You know, she says, for all the disasters, it's beautiful. And it is. A beautiful disaster. Our disaster. The good kind. The kind that becomes a story. Every single year. And that's the tale. 5 mistakes. 5 classics. 5 holiday misadventures that I will undoubtedly repeat again next December, no matter how much wisdom I pretend to gain. Thank you for being here with me tonight, really. It's nicer telling these stories with a friend nearby. If you'd like more cozy chaos from our little world, well, you know where to find us. Come back anytime. We'll leave the lights on. Or at least, the ones that still work.